Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today is the day they finally revealed everything that's going to be coming to Black Ops 6 during Season 4, and we're going to be covering all of that here in this video. This really does look to be your typical seasonal update, new maps, new guns, and new game modes, but in light of all the recent leaks that have come out, it seems like Activision and Treyarch are going to continue to be silent about all of the advanced movement changes. I know we have a lot to go over here today, but before we get started, I do think it's important to note that all the wall running leaks and the double jumping leaks that have been coming out over the course of the past couple of days, they now seem to be solely tied to COD 2025, because a lot of us thought, well, maybe they're adding in all this stuff into Black Ops 6's game files because there's going to be a limited time mode or something like that happening with Season 4, but that does not appear to be the case whatsoever. So Black Ops 6 is going to remain the same Omni movement, same everything we've had previously, and COD 2025 so far looks to be the game that's going to have all the wall running and double jumping and all that crazy nonsense. And just like we've been covering lately, the community reception to that has been incredibly bad so far. I think the reason why we're seeing it appear within Black Ops 6 is because of the call to DHQ. Basically, everything is tied into that one app right there, and so when they're doing updates in the background, sometimes that causes it to see the light of day, which is why we're just now starting to see wall running and double jumping and stuff like that being added. It's because COD 2025 is getting closer and closer, and of course the beta is right around the corner, so when we learn more about advanced movement and it coming back to the COD franchise, I of course will keep you guys updated. But shifting things back to the current COD, however, let's take a look at Season 4 of Black Ops 6 and see if it's going to be any good. And since multiplayer maps are pretty much the most important part of the game, let's go ahead and start off with them first. So it looks like in total there are going to be 5 maps added to the game with Season 4, and 3 of them are going to be for 6v6, with 2 of them being for face-off. The first launch map is going to be called Shutdown, which actually appears to be pretty decent in size. This is going to be set in a hydroelectric dam in Iceland, and interestingly enough has a good amount of water involved with it, though I feel like just like with Hacienda, the water is going to be more of an afterthought and occasionally maybe be used as a flanking route. Still though, the map has some pretty good size to it, which is something I think Black Ops 6 has been severely lacking throughout the course of the first couple of seasons. The second map is going to be called Fugitive. This is going to be the prison that they broke Stitch out of, and unlike Shutdown, this map looks like it's going to be a lot more on the small side. It's nighttime, it's snowy, and it's hard to see any distinct lanes in the minimap overview, but at the very least it does look unique compared to the other maps in the game. Now maybe it's just me, but this bottom right image right here that they gave us as kind of a teaser, this seems to share a lot of visual similarities to that map Emergency back from Modern Warfare 3. This might just be coincidence, maybe I'm overthinking it here, but this might be hinting that this is going to be another one of those maps that Treyarch stole from Sledgehammer Games, but I suppose we're never going to know. They're never going to admit which maps were taken from Modern Warfare 3 and add to Black Ops 6. I am saying, however, that bottom image right there compared to what we had with Emergency, those two just, you see what I mean? Like there's a vibe there, right? They look very similar for one reason or another. The third and final launch map for Season 4 is going to be called Blitz. Now this map is going to be used for face-off, which means it's going to be super tiny and it's going to be set in the Icelandic countryside with a bridge that kind of goes through the middle of the map. Now you guys know my take on face-off here. I'm sure plenty of you guys like playing face-off. It is a great mode for grinding camos and everything, but it really does seem like when people play face-off, they mostly just want to play Stakeout and Warhead because those maps are the fastest and by far the most efficient, so it seems like it's a waste of time for them to keep putting out new face-off maps. But I think maybe that's a personal preference on my end. Like as somebody who already has Dark Matter and everything, I literally have zero interest in playing face-off, but for the average COD fan, I'm sure face-off is actually ridiculously popular. Like a lot of people enjoy, you know, that shoot, kill mentality that you have in face-off. I mean, just look how crazy popular Shipment has been all these years, or the small map mosh pits, for example, that we saw in Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3. They're always stupidly popular, so I guess I can't really blame Treyarch for continuing to make more face-off maps. I just wish, as like an old school COD fan, that we had more traditional 6v6 maps for fans to enjoy, as compared to every season losing 6v6 maps in favor of more face-off. With the launch maps out of the way, we have 2 more maps that are going to be coming with Season 4 Reloaded, and those maps are going to be Eclipse, which actually looks freaking gorgeous, but then again, it's going to be yet another face-off map, and then of course we have the return of Fringe from Black Ops 3. This was revealed to us yesterday that Fringe was going to be coming out, and it does look like the art team went in and spruced up the map quite a bit. I guess they're going to try and make the middle building on the street more of a distillery to give it more of a distinct look, and then the rest of the map just seems to have a bit more decoration and things going on with it compared to the original version that we saw back during Black Ops 3 in 2015. It'll also be interesting to see how the map plays without Black Ops 3 movement. Like there wasn't a ton of space for wall running on Fringe originally, but it certainly was there. Not to mention the White House at the end of the street and then the Red Barn. Both of those buildings were pretty notorious for people using advanced movement, whether you were double jumping onto the roof or double jumping through the windows. Like, the map itself was kind of built for advanced movement, and we don't have that here with Black Ops 6, at least as of yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how Fringe plays out and if people are going to enjoy the map as much now as they did back then, because back then we had no skill-based matchmaking and we had advanced movement. Now we have crazy skill-based matchmaking and we don't have double jumping and we don't have wall running, which the map was kind of designed for. So it'll be interesting, I suppose. I'm kind of curious to see what the community reaction is going to be to the return of Fringe, as well as, of course, all the new maps that are going to be coming out with Season 4. Next up, we have the new guns being added, and interestingly enough, they're going to be rehashing even more weapons. I really didn't think they were going to do this again, considering last season, all we got was pretty much Modern Warfare 2019 guns just being remade. Well, this time around, it looks like they're just remaking a bunch of old Black Ops guns, and I don't think there's a single original gun in the batch, so I'm curious to hear what you guys think about that. On the one hand, nostalgia sells, right? And Call of Duty certainly banks on that, but them rehashing old guns for 2 straight seasons really does seem to push that narrative that they're just putting Black Ops 6 on life support and doing just enough to get by until the launch of COD 2025. They're even rehashing yet another old score streak in the form of the Grim Reaper, which of course saw its first appearance back during Black Ops 1, but let's go ahead and take a look at those guns. So at launch, they of course will be re-releasing the FAMAS Assault Rifle and the LC-10 Submachine Gun, and then mid-season, through events, they're going to be bringing back the Olympia Shotgun, and this one here's pretty freaking weird, the Essex Model 7 Marksman Rifle. Like, that gun was a literal meme back in the day for being so terrible, yet it's returning for some reason here in Black Ops 6, and then finally they are going to be releasing the Pickaxe melee weapon. Along with the new guns, they of course are also going to be adding in some new conversion kits. The interesting ones this time around are going to be a 3-round burst mod for the Strider SMG, a full auto mod for the SVD sniper rifle, and a full auto mod for the FAL, which I think in this game they call the TR2. I hate how they change the name of guns every single year pretty much. Like, they can never use the real name of the gun, and even then they still change up the name of the gun quite often. Sometimes they keep it like the FFAR for the FAMAS, but then you have the FAL, which is now the TR2. It's freaking confusing, man, but that pretty much does it for the new weapons. And again, nostalgia sells. I get it. And the FAMAS and the Olympia are personally 2 of my favorite guns from the original Black Ops, which is also my favorite Call of Duty game of all time, but it really does seem like they're content to just keep rehashing old things for the remainder of the Black Ops 6 life cycle. The vast majority of guns from the past 2 seasons are remakes. Maybe all of them are pretty much freaking remakes, and I don't see that changing for Season 5 or even Season 6, because at that point, we'll be approaching the COD 2025 beta, and Treyarch is going to be busy as hell getting that game ready, so I fully expect a lot more remakes and a lot more rehashes throughout the remainder of the Black Ops 6 life cycle. But then again, I could be wrong, and I'm curious to hear what you guys think down there in the comment section below. Next up, we are going to quickly take a look at everything else coming out with Season 4. The maps and the guns are by far the most important parts, obviously, but there's some other interesting stuff in here as well, so let's go ahead and jump into that. When it comes to the new game modes, they're bringing back one in the chamber, as well as adding in a party mode mosh pit. There's going to be a new game mode called Team Elimination, which is sort of like Kill Confirmed, but with a limited number of lives for each team. When it comes to zombies, there will be no new zombies map for Season 4, which is pretty freaking crazy, but they are adding back the game mode Grief from Black Ops 2. Now, Grief was actually a lot of fun back in the day. I'm not sure how many of you got to actually experience it, but essentially you have 2 teams of 4 fighting to survive on the zombies map, and the goal is not only to outlast the other team, but also mess with them and cause them to fail. Now, how you do this in Black Ops 6 is apparently you capture these different zones, and if your team does capture a zone, it's going to put a debuff on the other team, and those debuffs include draining ammo, nerfing weapons, spawning elite zombies, slowing their movement, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Ultimately, it is a gimmick game mode at the end of the day, but it's one of those modes that I genuinely enjoyed playing a lot of back in the day, so hopefully the Black Ops 6 version will be as good as the original was back during Black Ops 2. There, of course, will also be new Gobblegums and a new ammo mod and all the challenges and progression that go along with that for zombies, which will be nice, but it's strange to see no announcement of a new zombies map for the entire season. This seems to give more credibility to the theory that we all kind of had that they rushed out the tomb well before it was ready. Like, Citadel had just come out. It was a really freaking good zombies map. People were loving it, and then not even that long after, like a couple of weeks, maybe a month, I don't know, it was very quick, they put out the tomb, and it's like, why are you putting this out so early? Like, Citadel just came out pretty much, and I think it was because at the time the game was absolutely bleeding players, even more so than it is currently. So the theory is they pushed out the tomb well before it was ready, and that caused the map to not only suffer in quality, but it also may have thrown off the entire release schedule for zombies maps. That may very well be the reason why we don't have a zombies map announced so far for Season 4, and that includes Season 4 Reloaded. And of course, this is all just a theory and everything, but I think it's a pretty solid one, so I'm curious to hear what you guys think about there being no zombies map for Season 4, which means we're gonna have to go another 2 months before anything new is released. That's pretty freaking crazy, and I imagine that's only going to further push people away from the game. Again, I could be wrong, and I'm curious to hear what you guys think down there in the comments. Finally, to wrap things up here today, let's go ahead and talk about Warzone. And I'm happy to tell you guys they are finally fixing the entire cheating situation within Warzone. Nah, I'm just kidding, you guys. They literally didn't mention anything about the anti-cheat in today's blog post, and cheating is more rampant than ever in Warzone right now. It's actually pretty freaking bad. They are, however, adding the overlook to the game, whatever this is. Maybe I missed this back in the day. I was never really a big Warzone person. You guys know I loved Blackout, but never really got into Warzone. But essentially, it seems like they take the biggest building in Verdansk in downtown and make it even bigger? I mean, I don't know. Okay, I guess, whatever, if that's what people like. Like, it seems like people love hiding on top of rooftops in Verdansk anyway, so why not make a super skyscraper for people to hide on top of? They're also going to be adding in some zip lines and limited time modes and all that stuff, and apparently they're going to be adding in Resurgence Casual during Season 4 Reloaded, which actually sounds pretty crazy. So picture Rebirth Island, but with the rules of Warzone Casual. So there's only going to be, you know, 5, 6, 7 real teams out there, and then the rest of the players on the map are going to be bots. It sure does sound like Activision is toying more and more with the idea of adding AI bots into the game, which begs the question, will they ever do it for multiplayer? And more to the point, would it be popular in multiplayer? Because in my opinion, having multiplayer casual would be a great thing for the franchise if they do it right. Now think about this for a moment. They added in a playlist called Multiplayer Casual, where it's literally just 3 real people and 3 bots on one team versus 3 real people and 3 bots on the other team. It sounds like a very easy place to grind camos for sure, but more importantly, it's a place where lower skill players can go to try to play and learn the game, sort of similar to how combat training worked back during Black Ops 2. We all know that Activision wants to protect lower skill players, so much so that they went out there and created skill-based matchmaking, so why not just meet in the middle here, right? Add a multiplayer casual mode to protect those players by giving them the option to play against bots, and in turn, remove skill-based matchmaking from the rest of the game, because in that scenario, fans can choose to be protected and the rest of the player base won't have to be manipulated by the matchmaking algorithm. It's just a straight-up win-win for everybody. Now, of course, there would be some bumps in the road, like the added stress on servers. I imagine there would have to be a lot more lobbies available if half of every lobby are just bots, and then you have the problem of possibly having to redesign challenges if people can just complete all of them while shooting bots. There's definitely going to be a couple bumps in the road there, but at this point, literally anything is better than the matchmaking system we are currently dealing with, and I don't think that's just a me opinion. I feel like a lot of you probably feel the same way. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much does it for Season 4 and all the announcements that they've made so far. If we take one more look at the roadmap here, there's honestly a pretty decent amount of content that's being added to the game. Some features are better than others, of course, but I suppose the big question is, will this move the needle for Call of Duty, or will it just end up being more of the same? For me personally, I don't see this reviving Black Ops 6 in any significant way. It's really just more of the same, honestly. Like, new maps, sure, rehashed guns, okay, but with the core underlying problems of skill-based matchmaking and cheating, have I ever discussed those before, by the way? I'm not sure. With those core problems, it sure does seem like players are just going to continue to stop playing. Remember how we saw that big bump of players back when Verdansk got relaunched? Well, according to Steam charts, which we know for a fact shows trends across all platforms thanks to recent reports, about 1/3 of those returning players have left the game once again, and more people are leaving every single day. If Activision wants players to really come back to the series, they need to start listening to the community once again. It's actually pretty freaking wild. Like, as a community, we are just out here shitting solid gold right in front of them, telling them exactly what they need to do to right the ship, yet it keeps falling on deaf ears for some reason. Like, new content is always a good thing. Having new maps to play on and guns to level and all that, that's always going to be good for players, but I honestly don't see anything here in Season 4 that is going to take the world by storm or really invigorate the player base whatsoever. In fact, I think the player base is going to continue to go down, despite the fact that you would think with a new season, the player numbers should go up. It very well may end up being a situation where Verdansk continues to grow stale and more people stop signing in, and with the multiplayer being in the state that it's in, we're probably going to end up back to pre-Verdansk player numbers within a month. As always, I'll keep you guys posted as we learn more and as more updates and as more information comes out. So for right now, I'm going to wrap up this video here today. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts and feedback on all the hips and happenings of Season 4 down there in the comments. Thank you all so much for listening and for your continued support of my channel, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.